Travis Wayne Goodsell. Another disturbing caution that I'm watching for. As this morning, as we were in spring, we fell to 26 degrees where I am here in Utah. Mormons will remember that in 1815, a volcano in the Philippines exploded, erupted, blew, and resulted in the summer without a summer in the United States and the colonies in 1816. So that was 14 months away from the explosion, as the East Coast had their famine. The frost destroyed the crops, and thus there was a famine that year, and resulted in sicknesses, as several of the Smith family had come down with the sickness of that year because of it. So I'm sure you guys have heard about nuclear winter. It happens when there's a nuclear blast or a nuclear radiation explosion or radiation that occurs. We had one 6 months ago in Russia. I don't know if you remember. I don't know if Fox was covering it. But Putin, after Trump dropped our nuclear weapons agreement with Putin began testing nuclear weapons. Gee, go figure. Trump cancels the Iranian nuclear deal, and so Iran began enriching uranium beyond the agreement. He drops it with Putin, and then Putin begins testing. And it's amazing how people just don't care to see that they think it's okay, because they do see it. I grew up with you punks. Not Mormon punks, but alt-right neocons. I grew up with them. I know exactly how they think. I know exactly how they behave. And yes, it's exactly what Trump is doing. And the Trumpites, which is the more extreme version of the neocons of Bush. But I'm kind of wondering, because of the freeze here in spring, as we just had the nuclear explosion, the radiation explosion, back in Russia on the 8th of August last year. And so I kind of wonder if that all had a multiple purpose with Putin, as he intended to cause a collapse of our food for harvest. Wow, that would be big. So we'll have to, I'll be keeping an eye on it, but we've got coronavirus distracting everybody. Everybody's distracted with coronavirus, and nobody's seeing behind the scenes that our insurance is getting dropped, and other things are occurring, because shiny key of coronavirus is before everybody's eyes, and so nobody's paying attention to the other stuff that's going on. Do some further checking here. Nuclear winter is technically the period of cold and darkness after a nuclear war that blocks the sun's rays. And so, prolonged global climate cooling. Interesting. Because Russia and the United States have been blowing off bombs for centuries after World War II. We've just both been nuking the Earth. And it's not resulting in a cooling as hypothesized here by nuclear winter. It's actually been heating up the planet at a more rapid pace. Widespread firestorms during a nuclear war. Let me check something else here. And it just takes me back to nuclear winter. Black rain. So this is a government site. Interesting. ncbi.nlm.nih.gov. I don't think you're allowed to use a government site on the internet if you don't have government clearance. This is an article by John W. Burks and Sherry L. Stevens from the University of Colorado. Medical implications of nuclear war. Thermal pulse, firestorms, 74 billion. Destruction of shelter, food. This is talking about a blast. Nuclear winter would have its greatest impact if the nuclear war occurred during the summer, because the incremental change in the amount of sunlight would reach and warm the Earth's surface would be greatest then. Furthermore, during summer, plants are not in their dormant states and would be most vulnerable to sub-freezing temperatures. Computer model calculations presented. Temperature disturbances are calculated to be tens of degrees Celsius. And a fully interactive model, atmospheric lifetime, is enhanced so that the duration of nuclear winter would last several months. Toxic chemicals. How long would it take, though, to travel around the Earth? If a volcano takes 14 months, what about a nuclear explosion? Seems to indicate it would be early. From some of the tests that they're putting out here. Hours after the blast. But that's in the local area of Hiroshima. Let's check temperatures in America during 1946. The weather of 1946 in the United States. PDF. Or did it and I didn't realize it. Okay, it's not doing anything. Let's click on that. MWR. Okay. So let's then bring it up. See what it says. Okay, weather of 1946 in the United States. The outstanding climate feature of 1946 with reference to agriculture was generally favorable influence of the year's weather on the production of the greatest total outcome of crops in the nation's history. Its favorable influence was noteworthy principally for the record yields of wheat, corn, potatoes, and soybeans it helped produce at a time when war-devastated Europe and Asia were in large measure dependent upon the United States for subsistence. On the darker side, however, wet weather in the heart of the Cotton Belt, accompanied by an infestation of boll weevil, resulted in a disappointingly low production of cotton, and frequent rains and high humidity in the east during part of the growing season promoted the development of the tomato blight, with serious reduction in the crop yield. So maybe they weren't big enough, the Hiroshima and Nagasaki explosions. Oh. Okay. But one thing that I am concerned about is tornado season. When is tornadoes? season. I think it's June, isn't it? Yep, early June. During May into early June. See, this is what I worry about. With coronavirus still going and will be reaching record highs by the end of May, we're going to then be entering into tornado season. And if it's cold already here in Utah, freezing here in Utah, as we're in spring already, I am kind of concerned about tornado season on America. Yeah. Wow. We're still showing nothing in Utah. We did have that one in 1999. That was unusual. Right as the church was trying to build their conference center, the Mormon God struck it down. So, yeah, we need to pay attention to natural disasters coming up. And fire season, oh man, that's just going to ravage the earth again. So, yeah, I was just curious about this.